everyone, welcome back. Hope all of you are doing super well. And in this video, I wanted to give you some information on collaborative problem solving tips. So, most of the time, we as product teams, we sit down and we collaborate with each other in order to solve user problems. So, there are some tips that we can keep in mind and follow in order for these sessions to be productive. So, let's get to see them. The very first one is to listen. Most of the time, people think that they need to keep talking always just because they know something about the problem or they might know everything about the problem, and that's not bad. But always being the person to speak and to keep talking and only your voice being heard is not right. You need to understand the perspectives of others as well as you need to listen to the opinions of others as well. It's very important that everyone contributes, everyone shares their ideas and thoughts, and don't just let your voice be heard. The next one is to inquire. Now, most of the teams, like most of the times, when we get a problem, we tend to immediately shift our thoughts on the solutioning space as to how do we solution it. But we don't spend enough of time in order to investigate and inquire about the problem. When we do that, we will start understanding the different nuances and the root causes of the problem. So it's very important to understand the why part of the problem. And we can use the 5 whys technique where you keep asking why statements, why questions 5 times so that you would be able to drill down to the real exact root of the situation. So only when you inquire, you would be able to discover the facts of the problem. So irrespective of if it's a product team, generally when you go to a doctor or a police officer for a case, they would inquire because they want to know more about what happened in order for them to give the right solution. So it's very important that product teams spend enough time in order to inquire about the problem before jumping into solutioning. The next one is having a holistic view. So it's very important that teams don't just look at the problem as a problem. You need to understand the problem as a whole. So, for instance, a problem might be an effect of something that happened or some action that had taken place. It might be an impact of cascading actions or cascading problems itself. So, it's very important to understand the problem as a whole so that you'll know where exactly there's a trigger for that problem happening or where the problem exactly exists. So we need to analyze the root cause and then we need to target the right problem. So sometimes when we see a problem, we feel that if it's solved, things would get better. Yes, of course, sometimes it would, but sometimes it's very important to identify the root problem and try to target and solve that so that other problems can be avoided. So, one thing that we need to take away from this is to stop looking at a fragmented problem, instead, look at the problem as a whole. The next one is to take diverse inputs. So, this can be some common bias that most of us would have. So, in discussions, we tend to take the inputs and feedbacks and opinions of people who generally we feel they are of higher designations or of a particular role, or sometimes there can be gender bias as well. But we need to eliminate this bias. We need to consider an opinion as an opinion, irrespective of the role, the designation, the gender who has given that opinion or that feedback or comment. Okay? For instance, let's say there's a group of developers having a discussion on trying to solve some problem. And imagine if the team only listens to senior developers or the technical leads and they don't even consider the inputs or opinions of juniors and freshers. What happens? It doesn't sound fair, and sometimes, believe me, even freshers, juniors can come with, I can't say sometimes, most of the times, as what I've seen, they do have valid points, and sometimes bringing in fresh ideas to the team is also all that it takes. So it's very important that you take diverse inputs rather than, eliminating certain people's opinions. So the diverse, the better in problem solving, and the better you get a solution. The next one is to explore possibilities. So sometimes, like, we see teams rushing into decision making, rushing into solutioning, especially rushing in with, some solution and settling down for it. But what is important is that we ideate solutions, we have ideations, we find different alternatives, we explore alternatives to find the right solution. So it's always easy, to come up with some solution to a problem, but it's very hard to come up with the right solution. It's very important because most of the time when we have a problem, we mostly focus on the technical feasibility and technical challenges, and we come up with some solution that's really viable. But are we looking into whether it's, viable for the business, whether it's usable by the customer, whether it's going to be desirable? Do we think into those factors? We need to start looking into those factors as well, and then we need to come up with the right solution. So don't just settle for one option that's just available at hand. Explore solutions, explore possibilities, and then settle for the right one. So these are some things you can keep in mind when you are next time brainstorming or having any problem solving session. And if at all, there are any other tips that helped you in your problem solving, especially as a team, please do share them in the comments. And if you like this video, please do give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe to this channel, and also do share your feedbacks. Thank you.